Hey everybody, welcome to Content with Creation. Jose Gonzalez here. It is crazy that this is the last episode for 2022 for this program. I did not think that these last 4 months were going to fly by the way they did, but I'm so grateful that you guys have all been along for the ride. And who better to close out 2022 with one of my favorite creators I've gotten to meet over this last year, seeing her grind, whatever it's behind the camera, whether it's behind a keyboard, behind a microphone, whether it's going to be in between those squared circle ropes. It's Samira, everyone. Samira, how are you?
Oh my god, I love that little intro. Oh my god. I'm doing good. How are you? I love that intro. Thank you.
I mean, thank you for agreeing to do this. I mean, you're so booked and busy. You're traveling up and down everywhere. I mean, you've been making the rounds over the last few months, and it's been phenomenal to see you get to have that journey.
Thank you. I'm so happy doing it all and like getting to meet new people and travel everywhere. It's been super fun.
Yeah, I mean, have you noticed, like, looking back at how this year was, just, like, the amount of opportunities you've had and just, like, thinking, wow, I really punched my ticket a lot.
If you would have told January 2022 me all this stuff would happen, I probably wouldn't have believed you. I mean, I had goals for myself coming into 2022 and what I wanted to do in wrestling, but I feel like, I don't know, I just felt like all the stuff that I've done since then, I don't think I would have believed myself of that. I've done this, I'm traveling, I'm doing all this. Like, I don't think she would believe it. Like, her? Really? You did that?
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's just crazy to see, like, even just this last year, I mean, you've been doing this for quite a while now, but I mean, even going, like, way back in the day, like, obviously we're at an age where we were very lucky to grow up as the internet was kind of growing up itself, so, I mean, do you have any, like, early memories from, like, when you were younger and, like, really getting to explore the internet?
I remember, like, as my teenage years and, like, you're starting to get the iPod and, like, that's when I, like, started to get into the internet feel. I was like, I forget what apps I was kind of big on then. I think, of course, like Instagram, like around 2012, 2013, but then, like, switching into 2013, I was so big, like, on Twitter because I love Twitter because wrestling. I felt like I connected more with people through there for wrestling because I didn't have a lot of people in school that liked wrestling, like, especially as women. So it's like, it was nice to have that, like, a little escape to connect with people that loved the same thing I did. So I would say, like, yeah, around my, like, teen years when, like, smartphones and apps and stuff started to become much bigger. That's, like, my kind of, like, earliest memory with all the media stuff and getting to know everything.
Yeah, in the good old days where Instagram was actually in chronological order and not just whatever it thinks you liked and was displaying it to everybody else. Yeah,
And filled with ads.
Oh my god, the ads on, I don't know what's worse, like the Instagram ads the way they were, or just like whenever you'd see like so many sponsored tweets. I mean, we see the sponsored tweets now, but just like seeing like the crazy ways that people try to like work around the 140 character limit, and then like everyone was like trying to like, not, don't want to say trying to be a YouTuber, but like you could tell like it was like the era where everyone was like, you know what, I see this person doing this on YouTube, I'm gonna try it. Some were successful, some were not. Just also just like the total like different landscape back then of like things that we thought were cool in like 2013, 2014, looking back like 8 years later, it's like, was that the move?
Yeah. I know, I totally, like, when you go back and look at, like, old archived posts, or, like, when you get, like, those Facebook memory posts, and I'm just like, oh my god, why would I post something like that? What was wrong with me? Like, who let me have a Facebook or a Twitter and Instagram back in the day? Let me post this kind of stuff.
God, I mean, that reminds me, I do need to go back and just delete some old cringy tweets. Like, thankfully nothing cancelable, but just like, man, you had a phone and you let everybody know you had a phone in your hand, tweeting nothing.
I totally relate to that. I did that like a few years back where it's like, when you're like tweeting for wrestling during like live shows and you're tweeting and you're just like, I'm just like, who like let me just stop? Like, I was like, this girl, you needed to calm down.
Oh gosh, coming up with the internet and everything too, you mentioned wrestling was one of the big reasons why you were online. So, like in your early teen years, when did you first really get involved with, well, not getting involved with, but like first really familiarize yourself with pro wrestling?
So I started getting familiar with pro wrestling when I was like 6 or 7 years old. So it was like pretty early on, like 2006, 2007, because me and my brother would like stay down my uncle and my grandmother's house growing up, like until my parents were working. So we'd like stay there and hang out. And my uncle had the regular Xbox, and we'd play Raw too. So we started getting into wrestling from like the video games, and then we started watching, and that like I was hooked ever since. Like I remember clearly like John Cena, Randy Orton, like they were the reasons why I kind of fell in love with pro wrestling, because it was just like that feud at the time. And I don't know, and ever since like 2007, like that little era that when I started, I've never stopped, and that's how I like kind of gotten into pro wrestling.
Yeah, you didn't start that much later than I did. I was like the late 2005, like Ashley won in the Diva Search. So like, definitely cool seeing like that you didn't have to watch the Attitude Era to be like a real wrestling fan. It's just however you fall into it and you stayed with it. So that is really cool that it was even a family affair too, even with all the gaming and everything as well. I mean, does your family still really get into it now, or is it really just kind of something that you took with you on your own?
So my uncle still like does watch pro wrestling, the different companies. I obviously in it watch every company almost. My mom watches it here and there, and obviously like she'll like see my stuff, like she'll like go back and look, or I'll send her whatever. But everybody else in my family doesn't really like it, like they're not into it. But I would love for them to like one day come to see me on a show and just see me in person, because I don't do anything really like too local around my area, but I would love for them to come see me do something at one point. I feel like they would at least like that, to see me.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say that it won't be happening next year? I mean, we're only, what, a couple weeks away from 2023, and the world is our oyster, so you can definitely see big things happening anywhere for you. And then just kind of going off of that, when you were starting to watch it, did you know that that was something that you wanted to be a part of professionally in the future?
Not when I was growing up. I knew I loved pro wrestling, but I didn't want to be a wrestler. I don't know, just don't feel like it's for me. I mean, never say never. Like, I don't know if I could take the pain like they do, but like I said, never say never. You never know what could happen later down the road. But I just knew that wasn't it at the time. Like, as a kid, I loved to sing. I still do love to sing, but not as like crazy as I was growing up. I wanted to be a singer. But as I got older, and you think about, hey, like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And I knew it was a risky business, as we all know. Like, music business is very risky. Not saying that this isn't as well too, but I was like, oh, I kind of got to be realistic here and think like, what's kind of next for me. And even going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just like did gen eds my first year until I really like took some courses in college like that first year to be like, oh, hey, like maybe I want to do this, or hey, I maybe want to do that. And I ended up getting stuck between communications and teaching. I love kids, so I was just like, oh my god, that'd be so cute. But at the same time, I love to talk, if you can't tell. I'm a talker, and I really liked that, and I like people. And then that's when all the stuff with the wrestling kind of was starting to happen too, so I felt like it was a sign that and then that's when I started thinking, like, in those couple of years, I was like, oh my god, like, these people also, like, on TV, we had, like, Renee Young, Renee Paquette, and, like, Justin Roberts ring announcing, Lillian Garcia, like, all these people, like, that were also helping put on this show and help the wrestlers and the promotions, and, like, it just, like, I don't know, it just all came together for me. I'm like, oh my god, wait, this is it. This is what's meant for me. Even though I have a regular 9 to 5, but, this is something meant for me, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, like, a duality of, like, yeah, I'm this person when I'm on the clock, but when I'm off the clock, I'm this person, too. And then also, like, I would have never known, like, you wanted to go into singing and everything, too. I mean, funny enough, I thought I was going to be a music teacher going into college, and then one thing led to another, I ended up finding journalism. But it's crazy, like, were you, like, around a lot of music in school, maybe, like, in the church, or, like, how did music really become a part of your life to the point where you really thought that that was going to be the road you wanted to take?
Well, it's like growing up, you watch Disney Channel and like Nickelodeon, and they're all singers. And I don't know, I love music. I love like to sing songs. And I was a part of school choir from 3rd to 12th grade. And then when I was in high school, I was a part of like audition groups. I had a solo my senior year. And then like, even like now I'm a part of like a little group during the summer, and I sing. So it's like nice, I still kind of do it. And I just like loved that growing up. And I thought, oh, maybe that's what I really, really want to do. But at the end of the day, when it came time to like, you have to make a decision about your future, I just knew at the end of the day, hey, like, this might not be it for you. Just like, as much as I did love it, I still do, but it's not something that I'm like, okay, this is what I want to be like going for, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense, because I felt like there's always like the instability part of it, and it's also just like there's so many other things that I'm passionate about that I feel like could do a little bit more for me, but you're never really fully leaving it. I mean, especially like when you're the karaoke queen that you are. I mean, I got to experience it firsthand. You go hard.
Listen, I go all out for ABBA. I was so excited when we went to karaoke. I just, like, as soon as we stepped foot, I was like, listen, I'm singing something from ABBA. I don't care if it's Mamma Mia, if it's Dancing Queen. I'm busting out something. And I was just like... And at that point, I remember us waiting for so long just for us to sing. What did we wait, like 2-3 hours, I think?
So, for those that don't know, it was like the Thursday night before WrestleMania in Dallas. It's me, Samira, Ella J, Emily J, and I believe Vincent Michaels was there as well, and then Erica Wrestling, all at like this very like queer-centric like saloon, where in one room they were doing line dancing, then in another room they had a drag queen hosting karaoke. And I kid you not, we were probably there almost 3.5 hours waiting to sing. Emily goes up, like, towards the tail end. Samira goes up. I go up. And then it's just like, okay, now we just need to go back. I will say, the Uber back to the hotel with the giant-ass iPad and the lights, that was probably the best Uber ride I've ever had.
That was so fun. So me and Jose took this Uber back to our hotel because we were staying at the same one. And he asked, like, what do we want to listen to? I think we picked Dua Lipa, if I'm not wrong.
We did, because he put on the levitating music video.
Yeah. And it was like a van. And, like, he had, like, lights and it was music. But I thought that was the most littest Uber I've ever been in my life. I was so excited. And that was just such a fun night.
I feel like I wish I had that Uber driver all weekend, because I would have been like, I will line your pockets graciously to come back in this.
We should have like gotten his like number or something. Be like, listen, we'll.
I'm sure if I go back to like my history, I could find him.
We could have been like, listen, we want you to take us around everywhere. We'll pay you. We just want to have this fun ass Uber ride every single time.
I know, especially when we're trying to get out of the stadium and go to like New Texas Pro at like almost 1 in the morning.
My God.
It is the way that we thought we were going to be smart and like skip KO and Stone Cold to try to make it there. We could have stayed the whole time, left, and still had 20 minutes to kill waiting for an Uber or Lyft. It was so bad.
That whole situation gives me anxiety.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happens. But, I mean, you did kind of allude to it. I mean, you mentioned that you were taking some comm classes, you were taking some education classes. So when you decided on communications as your major, did you have, like, a concentration you wanted to go into? Or were you just doing, like, general communications and kind of seeing whatever would float your boat?
So once I switched over to communications, I was still in community college at the time, so it was just communications. So you were just like learning, whatever. But when I transferred to a 4-year university, that's when you had to pick. And there were 4 options, and then there were 2 that, really stood out to me. Broadcasting, obviously, and then public relations. And that's where things were like, I'm like, oh my God, like, how am I going to choose between these 2? Because I love broadcasting, like, that's something I want to do, but it's like, also, like, hey, like, I kind of should learn public relations, because I was very interested in it, but I was like, also, like, hey, like, if, things don't work out with broadcasting, I need to know that, I have something else, with me that I, could learn. So, I remember what's, like, their name? Your advisor. I was, like, forgetting the name. I'm like, your advisor. He's like, you can actually do a double concentration and still graduate on time. And I was like, oh, my God, yeah, I'll do that. Because I wasn't really, like, interested in the other 2 concentrations. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I'll still graduate on time, and I could have, like, 2 concentrations for, whatever. It'll work out perfectly. And it did. So I still have my, degree in that, but it's funny enough, my 9 to 5 is not anything related to my degree in a sense, but it's fine.
I can relate to that.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who has a degree in journalism and is working in pharmacy and has for the last 7 years, I don't know when I'm going to scratch my educational itch, but hey, it's there.
I've always found that interesting. I was like, yeah, I went to school for this and this, and I'm not doing any of that at my 9 to 5, which is fine. I mean, sometimes they let me do broadcasting work, like we do it like a little bit, but then obviously all my broadcasting goes to wrestling anyway, so
exactly.
It's all good in the hood.
Yeah, so I mean, we have like our podcasting, our channels, like the promotions we work with, and then in the daytime I sell drugs. You know, it happens.
Then in the daytime I sell drugs.
Been proud to do it for 7 years. Don't see it ending anytime soon. So, I mean, obviously from very humble beginnings to having those early days really trying to learn the craft of becoming a broadcaster, that brings us to our YouTube channel. So the early days of YouTube channel actually being a lot of like little vlogs from actually going to events as a fan. So when did you know that you wanted to start up your channel?
I don't know. I just, even as like a young kid, I wanted to do like stuff on YouTube. Like, there's old videos, but they're archived. Like, you will not find them. I will never re-release them on YouTube. Like, from like 2012, 2013 of like videos of me. And I'm like, I guess somewhere around that age, I kind of knew I wanted to do stuff like that. And I don't know why. I just like love that. And like, what's that one app like where you were allowed to make like music videos, like your iTunes music, and you make videos and you could edit, and it was like on your phone.
Was it like iMovie?
Not iMovie. It was like some kind of app. I think if you get
was it like
Triller,
where it was like before TikTok or like?
No, it was like it's like iMovie but different. It began with like an S. Like, I don't know if it was Star or something.
See, I don't know because I had an Android growing up.
I had everything like on my iPod because like I had a cell phone which was like those ones that was like that slide and you had like the keyboard and then you slide it back. So I had that, but I never had like internet on my phone. My parents at the time, we didn't pay for internet on our phones, so I had an iPod that did all that kind of stuff. I forget what it was, but like even then I would do stuff on there and you post about it, and oh my god, I think they're archived as well. I used to like talk about wrestling, like review like Raw and SmackDown or for the week, and I'd like talk about it. I'd make videos on YouTube, like not edited.
If anyone knows what we're talking about, comment below.
I'm like so
because I genuinely can't think of the name of it right now.
Oh my god, I think it began with an S. I wish I could remember, but yeah, there should be like videos like I said, they're archived. I will not re-release them on my YouTube channel of me like talking about wrestling for the week. Like I would make notes while watching Raw. I'd be like, this is what happened, and then I'll come and I'll talk about it on my phone, like without editing it or anything. Like I just post it straight to YouTube. But at that age, I didn't know. I just was like, oh my god, I want to talk about this, and I would just like want to put it up there. I feel like I'd be good at something. Like, so even like then, even as early as a teenager, even though I didn't like really know, it's like at that, like, it's like she kind of knew, like, hey, I love talking about this. I want to do this. Like, that, it's all kind of crazy how it works out.
God, I remember thinking, like, I knew what I wanted to do on YouTube when I was young so much. Like, I remember, like, back when you used to have friends on YouTube. Like, that's how, like, old I am with YouTube. And, like, okay, what do I want to do? Like, I want to, like, I think action figures were big at the time. So I'm like, I'm going to learn how to do stop motion. It was terrible. I did everything in, like, Windows Movie Maker. Like, it was, like, 5 seconds of each thing. So that didn't work. Like, I thought I would try doing, like, little gaming stuff at the time on my Xbox. That didn't work. I was just like, well, whenever I come back to it, I'll come back to it. And lo and behold, now that, like, I know a little bit more about editing and, like, production quality, it's definitely a lot more of something to display now than it ever would have been.
How we grow, I always say.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't look back and cringe, did you really evolve? I guess it's a good way to say it.
True. And then you just, like, archive them all. I'm like, why would I ever post this on YouTube? Who let me do this?
Although I will say, I'm glad you didn't archive your first interviews too, because it's really like getting your feet wet, and even then, like you could see the passion, you could see that you really wanted to get to know more about these performers. I think the first one I saw was with Maria Manic back in the Independent. So, like, was that something where it was something you wanted to do alone on your channel, or was that kind of when you were thinking about maybe working with other sites at the time?
So at that point, I had worked for Wrestling News Co. Previously. We in 2018. It was for like a couple of months, and once we were kind of done, like it wasn't like really working out because of school and stuff like that. I knew I still wanted to do stuff, so I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna give up on this. Let me try and do this on my own, and I did. And I remember talking to a promotion at the time, trying to like try to get involved in some way, and like there was talks, but then they like cut it out, and I'm just like, what, like what? But I remember like somebody telling me like, hey, like sometimes you gotta there'll be no's, and like sometimes they'll talk and you won't hear anything. And but I felt good, like, after that interview. I was like, oh my god, like, this was easy. Like, I got my questions all prepared, and, like, I did my research, and, like, it's like, that girl knew. I feel like even though that was, like, what, a couple years ago, I feel like so grown now, and, like, from what I knew then, like, I'm just like, oh my god. But still, it's like, she kind of knew what to do. She's like, research your questions, and, you know, have a good setting and all this kind of stuff. At least, but she just like she was bad at audio. Still kind of not. Well, sometimes still kind of bad at audio. But she at least thought, and that was like it was starting to keep going. But she just didn't keep going from there. And I wish like I could. I wish I could have told her just to keep going. Like what was stopping you at that point? Like why didn't you just try harder? Maybe I could have probably been in a different position now from if I would have kept going. I don't know where I could have been now if she just would have continued. Because if you can look back, like after that interview, it was like I did Mania weekend, and but not really. Like it was just like the WrestleCon interviews, and after that, I didn't like. It was just slowing, like I wasn't really doing anything because I didn't know what to do. I just like all I knew was like, oh, I want to do interviews, I want to do this, but like then it was like I was stopping, I wasn't really getting involved, and I don't understand what was holding me back. Maybe like I think it was myself, like I didn't know what to do. I was in school, but like life works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that too is just when we're like younger, we want to do so much, but we might not know exactly the execution, or just like we start to psych ourselves out just because we feel like maybe it's just not there yet. Because I think we're used to, especially this generation, kind of having that instant gratification. So when we don't see things immediately go the way that we think that they should have gone, it kind of turns us off. But it's just really learning that no, those experiences help shape me. It's only going to help me get better in the end and really try to become a better and more well-rounded individual for whatever it is I'm doing. So maybe you did need to take that reset and really just kind of look back on everything and see how I could grow and have a new set of eyes.
I agree. Like as I like sit back and think, sometimes I'm like, oh my god, like I regret not, doing more for myself. But it's like, I didn't know. But it's like I'm kind of like I regretful but not regretful because I feel like so much more grown as a person and like know things, and like I feel like I still had a lot of growing up to do that maybe like I'm glad that's maybe where I am today, because I needed to be more grown and like where I am right now, because I don't know if that Samira could just like handle it all. So I think it was good that that happened the way it did, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. I mean, you think about a lot of like the bigger people in wrestling, like I think of someone like Diamond Dallas Page. Yes, he was a performer in the ring, but he really didn't start till like his late 30s. So like if you feel like you're probably not like the right age or anything like that, don't ever feel like it's too late to do anything, because it's not. I mean, age is nothing but a number. It's really just about having the dedication, having the wisdom of what you don't want to repeat, but having the openness to be able to say, if this doesn't go this way, at least I know what to avoid, or maybe this turned out great, I'm going to try to keep applying it. So don't be afraid to get those reps in regardless of how far or how soon it is. Happy holidays, everybody. Jose here, and I am so glad to let you know that not only is it the best time of year, but Amazon Music is also extending their free trial offer to a 3-month subscription for new subscribers. Head on over to getamazonmusic.com/JoseCanYouSee to start your 3-month trial of Amazon Music today. Whether it's getting into the Merry Mix playlist or even listening to Amazon's original version of Someday at Christmas performed by Grammy Award-winning artist Lizzo, and even listening to some of your favorite podcasts and 70 millions of your favorite songs, there's definitely something for you on Amazon Music. So definitely head over to getamazonmusic.com/JoseCanYouSee, getamazonmusic.com/JoseCanYouSee, and make sure to start streaming today while you can get that additional 2 months of extra music. 3 full months of Amazon Music can be yours for this holiday season. Thank you so much to Amazon for partnering with me, and enjoy today's episode. I don't know about you guys, but near me, the weather outside is definitely getting frightful, but the coffee inside my cup right now is most certainly delightful. And that's thanks to Grinding Coffee Company. Grinding Coffee is Black LGBTQIA+ owned and based out of Georgia, shipping nationwide in the United States, and they house a variety of blends and flavors like Bourbon Delight, The Gay Agenda, and even your classic donut shop blend. And the best part is, not only do they sell fantastic coffee and an assortment of grinds and beans, they also sell mugs and hats to keep you warm inside and out this winter. Head on down to grindingcoffee.co and you could use code Jose to get 10% off your order of coffee or accessories. Again, that is grindingcoffee.co, and using code Jose will get you 10% off your favorite coffee needs or accessories. Thank you so much to Grinding Coffee for partnering with me over the last few years and keeping me warm this holiday season. And now back to today's episode.
Oh, definitely. I'm just happy where the things that did played out how it did, because now I feel more knowledgeable with everything, and I feel more grown and that I could handle everything, because I don't think 19-year-old Samira just knew it. I think she knew what she wanted to do, but she just didn't know everything, and I'm glad the time it did take, even though it was slow and we might have stopped here and there, but it brought me here right now.
Agreed. I can definitely vouch for especially being a student, I feel like people really don't think about the fact that, especially with higher education, there's such a commitment even outside of those lectures that it's crazy to even still have any semblance of a social life, let alone a presence in any other field. So I see someone like a Kimmy Sokol that's doing it now, and I'm just you are a badass. I don't know how you do that. You do your education, you do all the news reporting stuff, you're doing sports stuff. It's just I don't know how people have so much time, but I don't know, maybe it's just a new generation where they're a lot more organized than we are, but it's it's still really cool to see so many up and comers really putting in the work and having that pay off already.
I agree. I remember hearing about her stuff, and I'm oh my god, good for her, go for her. I don't know, I could never do that, because the amount of work they give you, you don't realize how much work all that is, and then on top of all the wrestling, good for her, good for this younger generation that are killing it and doing their schoolwork and trying to do what they want to do in the business. I'm proud of y'all, because I know I couldn't have done that.
Agreed. I mean, you would eventually make your way into more and more wrestling coverage. You would also spend some time with SC Scoops and really start to do a little bit more traveling as a personality in media. So was that something where you knew that you were going to try to really attend what you could and really try to have a presence for, even if it was for a site, but just have a presence on camera for wrestling events?
So, yeah, I came to a point then in 2021 where things started to change, where I was no, I need to take this more seriously, and that's when I started to jump back up into YouTube, because my last semester at college was, we had to do something in my broadcasting class, and I was oh my god, this is a perfect time. I feel this is a sign, because I wanted to jump back up and doing interviews, and they said I could do that for my channel, for my whatever it was, every week. I was okay, this is perfect, this is what I want to do. And then that's where you saw all these interviews come back, and I was oh my god, yes, I'm so excited. And then the whole thing with SC Scoop started to come along, and I was you know what, let me try working for another site. Let's see what kind of happens and how this works out, because I still wanted to do interviews, and let's why not try this out. And it was nice because I got to travel. I got to do a lot with like MLW, because they were starting to go back up at the time, and they were doing a lot in Philadelphia. So I was like, awesome, I can travel and do stuff for them. It's super easy, and I was having fun with that because it opened me up to more companies, more like I got to like broaden. Is that the word? Like broaden?
Yeah.
Everything, and like I was just getting a feel of everything. And and it was nice. It was like opening myself up more and like being more open, because I was still like shy about everything, and I felt like this like got me out of my shell, and I was feeling more comfortable. And then also around that time I started working with independent promotions, because I was like, okay, that's something I really wanted to do. I loved what I did for the sites, don't get me wrong, I did. It was a very a fun experience getting to do like the interviews and stuff, but I'm very much more passionate about working on the independents. So when that started up, I was so excited, and I couldn't wait to learn and continue on with that. But SC Scoops was like a good time. I got to travel to wherever it may have been. It gave me met some great people, made connections, and it was nice. And but now you're often doing your own kind of thing, which I was kind of mentioning hey, the independence was more of my scene.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's also really good to kind of establish yourself as just Samira without having an attachment to anything too, which I think is something that people would take for granted otherwise. And I will say you have met some pretty cool people along the way that I would say they've been colleagues, they've been friends. I think about people like Ella J, Emily J, Muscle Man Malcolm, Erica Rustin, Wyatt, all these amazing people. I mean, were you always close with some of them even back in the early Twitter days, or how did it kind of work out where it's just oh, I'm working with people that are doing the same thing, and they all just ended up being really cool people?
So it's funny because Ella and I met before any of us were in the business, even before Twitter. We met through Kick, and
oh wow,
we met for wrestling. So we were fans. Her and I were both teenagers, and we were fans because we both loved wrestling. And Randy Orton was our fave. He's still my fave, obviously. But that's how Ella and I met. Ella and I've been friends for, I believe, 9. Is it 9 years?
Oh my
8?
God.
I forget what it is now. Ella, don't kill me. But it's been a very long time. Me and Ella have known each other for so long, and then I jumped in the business, and then she jumped in the business, and it's amazing to see what she's been doing now. I'm so insanely proud of her because she deserves it all. And then when we're all becoming friends with people on Twitter and stuff, and that's where I met Emily, and I have gotten closer this year as we've been seeing each other more. And then Malcolm and I met maybe a couple years ago when I was doing more on YouTube and I saw him doing YouTube. But Malcolm and I started becoming close last year as we had been seeing each other a lot more, doing kind of the same events. Oh my God, who else? Erica and I became friends a couple years ago, as when we were both fans as well. So it's all becoming I would say Twitter was the biggest thing for me, because that's where I made literally all my friends that I still have some of them now who I'm close with. It's and it's we're all in the business now. It's what? It's kind of insane to go back and think where we started and how we were to where we are now. It's just it blows my mind that those were the same people. What?
Yeah, I mean, especially with Emily, too. I mean, seeing her, from, the WWE shop posts that she would do, and just, live tweeting different shows, and then now she's, full on competing in the ring, and it's, crazy to see, that transformation over the last year, too.
I'm so proud of everybody. It's, it's so exciting to see, and I get, so excited, and I'm just oh my God, look at them doing their thing, and they're killing it. It's crazy. Because I always think about, those memories when we were, teenagers and we were talking about all this and we were just, fans and stuff, and now we're, following our dreams and our passions to this great thing that brought us all together.
And the thing is that you guys were brought together because you wanted everyone to win anyways, because you loved what people were doing as an entity. Like, you wanted to make sure that you were supporting people, whether it was as a fan, but even now, like, as colleagues and friends. Like, it's always been never, like, a solo mentality, like, in that sense. It's always been very camaraderie-based. It's been a lot of uplifting each other, and I think it really does translate whenever you guys do get to interact, even on the professional side of things, too. It's just so organic and refreshing to see that kind of personalities mingle, especially on the media side of things.
Oh, definitely. I feel like that's what's, like, kind of changed about our generation-ish, where we're, like, we stick together. I mean, that's kind of also my mentality. I'm like, we're all gonna, like, eat together. Why is there's no need to be hostile towards one another. Like, you know, we're all doing the same thing. Yeah, sure, some of it, like, it's a competitive business. We all know that. But there's no reason to be rude and, like, do that. And even, like, in person, we help each other out. Like, when I was at StarCast and WrestleCon, me and Malcolm, like, were helping each other out. Malcolm held my camera while I was interviewing. I held his camera while he was interviewing. Like, you know, we just, like, help each other out kind of type of thing. Like, there's no need to, like tear each other down, or, like, I don't, you know, personally, I don't get that. Like, I just, like, I'd like to see everybody happy and everybody win. There's no reason to be rude to people. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I know one of the events that I thought of where just like everyone kind of came together and like really like as a group effort, like really did so much, I think was Empower, which I still wish I was there in person for, but like seeing so many people just come together for like the all women's show and just like all the different like coverages that they had too, and like really getting to like, I also feel like COVID kind of played a part in it because we were so used to doing everything virtual as it was, and like having all these online friends. So like the one chance we really got to like be in person, whether it's like at an Empower, whether it's this last WrestleMania, whether it was SummerSlam, just really like kind of solidifying that a little bit more.
I love, like, that. I love then getting to go to those places to meet with everybody, because it's like you talk with everybody on the computer, on your phone for so long, and it's so nice to be able to talk to somebody in person and see them and hang out with them. It's the greatest feeling ever in getting to hang out with everybody. And like you said, like, Empower, that was super fun as it was like the first time I met Chris and DS and Phil and Will and like everybody. And then it was just like all these times, it's just so great. And that's what I love about going to travel out when for something like, you know, the big stuff, the Manias, the Summer Slams, like, because then everybody's like going and it gets the chance to meet all these people and just hang out with everybody. And that's what I also love about WrestleMania, because that's where everybody goes. And that's when you get to be with everybody, and like you have your little hangouts, and then you help each other out, like doing other stuff. So it's great. It's a great experience.
Yeah, and I will say, getting to do it this year, I now have the itch to like kind of like, now I understand why people do this every year.
Yeah.
So if you see me in LA, don't be surprised. That's the plan, at least. So who knows?
You'll be there.
Yeah. One way or another. I mean, something else that stuck out to me this last WrestleMania was you get to do a little bit of talking on Fight TV in between WrestleCon stuff. So how did that come about?
So that's kind of funny. I'm still kind of shocked by that. So I knew Josh because when I was in Atlanta for NWA Hard Times 2, I went to do interviews for the site I was working for, and I had met Josh and his cameraman Calvin. So and I had recognized Josh from Fight TV. So, you know, we were like talking to them because they were also backstage getting stuff too, and we were just, you know, talking, making friends with them. And Josh is very nice, but, you know, as you know, Josh is now not with Fight TV and is doing like a different thing now. But it was cool. That's how we met. And then I became friends with John as well. I forget how John and I became friends. And I knew, and then me and Malcolm were together. We both know, he knows John, and I don't know if he knew Josh. Sorry, I tend to ramble on in the story.
No, you're
like,
fine, too.
I was like, just gonna cut all this like stuff out as I ramble. So we
regardless if you're rambling, this will never be the most edited episode of this podcast. That honor goes to my sister still to this day, and I will never let her live it down.
Love that.
Yep.
So we had saw John when we were like walking around, and you know, of course, like I'm gonna like say hi to everybody that I know because I'm like, hi, how are you? And then he's like, oh, like, you know, if you guys like want to come down at some point, like, well, you know, we'll do a Fight TV. I'm like, oh, like, really? He's like, yeah. So it was the second day, And me and Malcolm were coming in. I think Malcolm had just gotten there. We were going, and we saw them like saying. So we went over just like to say hi. They're like, "Oh, you wanna come sit with us? Like we're just about to like go on air." I was like, "Wait, really?" I was like, so we go, and then like they ask about like the whole ROH press conference because I was there, and like we're just talking about like everything going on the weekend. And that was so. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. But I love that because I loved talking about wrestling. And it was like. It's just like so cool. I was like, oh my god! And then I knew the sound guy, like I knew them because it was people from GPW, the production, and I knew them. So I was like, oh hey, what's up, guys? So oh my god, I don't know, like that was such a cool moment. I just like I was in such a shock. I'm like, oh my god, did we really like just do that? Like what?
Yeah, and I feel like that's not going to be the last time we ever see you do anything with Fight TV or just like any of the other big wrestling streaming platforms. It could be an IWTV, it could be a High Spots. Who knows? And especially now that you've been doing so much with these promotions on your own as well, too. So I know we kind of hinted at it earlier. So do you remember, like, the first instance where you were actually going to be working with a promotion in some way for their broadcast team?
So it was last year, 2021, and I remember I knew I was like, once, because like I said, I was doing so much on YouTube at that time where I was like, I want to do independence. Like, I feel like I'm ready to try it out and like do something. So I hit up Sam Laterna. If you don't know, Sam Laterna is a wrestling broadcaster. She's doing amazing. She's with MLW now, and she's doing a lot of stuff on her own as well. And I remember hitting her up, like asking her for advice. Like I thought about trying ring announcing as well at the time, which like didn't like go anywhere at that point. But like I sent her like what's it called? A little demo of like of what I could do like ring announcing wise, and she goes, okay, like and then which came to be High Tension / Camp Leapfrog. It's like hey, like they're like having this thing in a couple weeks, like if you want to do it, because I can't make the other day if you want to do it. I was like, okay, like if they're interested, like she goes, yeah, I'll put you in contact with so and so, and we'll arrange it all together. I was like, okay. And like it just all happened, I showed up for their like first day, and of course like I'm shy. I don't like really know anybody, and I'm like kind of like on my own. But like when it came to doing what I had to do, of course I was like a little nervous because it was my first time because I was doing backstage correspondence. But like after like kind of like the first time, that's when I started like I felt like really good. I was like, okay, like just. And they, like, you just have your run sheet of, like, what's going on in the show, and I'm like, okay, and I'm doing what I gotta do, and I was like, oh my god. And, like, that after I did that, I was like, I want to keep doing this. Like, this is so super fun. Like, I just want to keep doing this. Like, I want to continue to learn and get better, and I've been lucky ever since then to be, sticking with Camp Leapfrog or High Tension Network, who's, this is my home promotion now. I can't thank them enough for everything that they've done and continue to do for me as they, they let me grow with their promotion. They let me try out new things. Like I just recently made my ring announcing debut, which will be coming out on High Tension's YouTube in the next couple of days on the 20th and the 22nd. And so I was like grateful they let me do that. I get to do so much with them, and they're all just a great group of people I'm lucky to be with, and they just believe in me and support me, and I can't thank them like enough for that because they're like the greatest people, honestly.
No, I love that too. So, I mean, especially when you're trying to get started and you don't have necessarily stuff to really compose a proper reel, like you mentioned, like you had like a demo of you ring announcing. Like, what was some of like the stuff that you were doing to record and like try to submit just because you didn't get a chance to have that opportunity yet?
Oh, so that was just like a sample. Like I just recorded like something like right here, like with my mic, and I sent it to Sam so she would like listen to it, kind of give me feedback, and like then like if she knew anybody like maybe around my area that was like kind of looking for something, so that I could like try it out. And like I'm so lucky and blessed that she kind of like helped me, brought me to High Tension, like these group of people that have supported and believed in me since day one that I've set foot in their company. And I'm like so happy, and I'm like thankful for her that she's so nice and still is like so nice and kind. Like if I ever need advice or anything, like I could reach out to her, and she's been so great. And it's nice to like as I've been doing so much with a bunch of promotions, that I get to meet other broadcasters, and if I ever need help or advice or anything, I know I could reach out to these people, and that's what I love about that too. Like it's just nice that I could have like, or like even in this, not just me but everybody, like to have like these other broadcasters that you can like get advice and tips and go off with, and you know it's not like such like, oh, you can't ask anybody anything, like they're there for you as well.
No, for sure, too, because I feel like, especially seeing you guys do it firsthand in April, that kind of gave me the itch and everything, too, so I could vouch for, like, having that network where you're just, like, inspired, but also, like, damn, they're really cool with what they're doing, because, like, they make it look so easy, like, seeing, like, you doing your interviews and everything in person at WrestleCon, like, you guys were just, like, you made it seem like you've been, I mean, at that point, you've had a few rounds, obviously. But you definitely made it seem just like, oh, like, they're naturals at this. Like, no wonder this is why they're here doing what they're doing. I'm like, you know, maybe I need to get in on that a little bit. So, yeah, definitely has been nice to see that you've had so many different opportunities. I believe you've also been doing some stuff in Florida as well, too. So I think, was it Boca Raton Championship Wrestling?
Championship Wrestling. They just started out this year, and, you know, I get to go along for the ride with them, and that's kind of crazy too. Like, I'm just like, what? Like, me? Like it sometimes like still like blows my mind that like I kind of get to do this stuff. I'm like, wait, what? Like, especially when it's like working with certain people, like legends. Like their last show was just like full of legends, and I'm like, I literally don't deserve to be here on this card, like interviewing these people or working this show with these people. Like, who am I to even work with these legends? Like, I do not deserve to be here, and I still think that. Like, I'm just like, no way.
No, I mean, I love the fact that you're going into it, like, with so much humility, because, I mean, you're not taking anything for granted, but you also got to think about the fact that you've been recording yourself doing so much over the years, whether it's been on your own, whether it's been with other sites, whether it's been in other promotions. Like, I feel like, especially now, anything that you're doing, you should always feel like you deserve to be here, and I'm the reason why this is happening. So don't ever feel like you have to short sell yourself or feel like, you know what, maybe... Like, don't let that trepidation come in, because you are there on your own merit, and that speaks more than anything else anyone else could say. So,
Thank
definitely,
you.
I'm so excited to see what comes with this upcoming year, just because I know that you've already been so many places, and I don't think you're going to be slowing down anytime soon. So that is definitely going to be something awe-inspiring to see.
Oh, thank you. I try my hardest. I've been having a lot of fun, you know, ever since, you know, promotions. Like, I'm getting, like, picked up by a lot of promotions and working with a lot of them lately, and I get so excited meeting a lot of new people and just doing what I love. It's so great, and I just can't wait to see what 2023 has in store. And, like, it's kind of crazy, because, like, and you know this, Jose, like, because, like, maybe, like, 6 months ago, 6 months ago, this girl would have never believed, like, I'd be where I am right now, because I was so, like, in imposter syndrome that I thought I was just gonna quit and be done, and now I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, people take for granted just, like, how powerful the mind can be. So when you're in that set of, no, this doesn't make sense, like, who do I think I am? And then when you kind of have that aha moment where the light flip switches and you're just like, you know what? Fuck whatever anyone else is doing. I'm going to do this for me. And then lo and behold, that's usually when some of the best opportunities would come. So, I mean, definitely having that experience early this year, and even just going far back to the beginning, is there anything that you wish you kind of knew before you embarked on this journey that we call wrestling media?
What, since I, like, first started?
Yeah, we could say, like, from the very beginning to even just, like, something, like, within the last year, which is, like, you know what, why am I still doing this? And then it just clicks, like, no, this is why I'm still doing this.
I just wish, like, I think also, like, it takes me back to the imposter syndrome and kind of, like, thinking about it, like, I wish, like, she kind of knew just to don't, like, focus on other people, because I think that also plays a role. Like, you compare yourself to others in the age of, you know, social media and stuff, and I think that kind of played a role where I was, like, comparing myself to others. I still kind of do that, but not as, like, much as before. It's like, hey, like, focus on yourself and your craft, and, like, that's all that matters. Just focus on getting better and learning as much as you can, and just focus on yourself, because that's what's gonna, you know, get you going forward as you practice and you learn. And just like you, that's where you need to focus on you to be the best version of yourself. And I could feel like I could confidently say that right now I am in the best version of myself, because I feel like especially in this past year, I've grown so much in the things that I've been through and the things that I've learned. I feel like I'm in the best version of myself right now, that because I've been like just so focused on me and what I can do and how am I going to make myself better so I can make all these other things better in my life, not just in wrestling but in other, you know, aspects of my life.
No, definitely. Like, a lot of self-reflection, just, like, working inward can really help change a lot outward. And people do always kind of feel like, you know what, maybe because this is happening for someone else, maybe it won't happen for me. So getting out of that mindset of, like, you know, it's okay to see what other people are up to because it can kind of help you figure out what you want to do. But, like, at the end of the day, you need to be incomparable in your own mind before that can translate anywhere else. So thank you for at least sharing that you've been going through, even very recently, just kind of that internal battle of kind of, am I good enough? Is this for me? And then seeing that not only is it for you, but there's a lot more that's going to be for you very soon.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very open about sharing my story because I know other people go through it. And it's just like, things will change. It might not seem like it, and you just might not think it, because I remember, like, days where I would just, like, cry and be like, I don't think anything is going to change. Like, I don't think this is meant for me, but I really wanted it to be. And, like, and then it was just, like, it just took one thing, that one trip to Nashville. All I had to do was step back into my element, and suddenly it just went away from my brain. I was like, no, like, this is it. Like, I was surrounded by, like, my people, my friends, like, my support system that was there for me, like, through the phone when I was so upset, and I was in my element, I was interviewed, I was like, was I really about to walk away from all of this? For what? What was it like? Why was I about to do that for? And the game changed after that. And now I'm not in my mind about it as I was, because it was really bad before. I mean, still you get in your mind, like, about it sometimes, but, like, it's not as bad as before, but I'm so happy that I'm on, like, a different path and a different mindset than where I was 5-6 months ago.
No, I am too, because it really does show in your demeanor, the way you carry yourself. You are thriving right now, and we need you to thrive a little bit closer to Western New York so me and Ella can, you know, give you the premium unleaded gas in person again. Promotions, she's available. See. No, but for real, though, thank you so much, Samira, for everything over, like, the last year, especially with me starting to get to know you more and just, like, even opening up about your own journey. This was such a great episode, and I'm so thankful that I got to spend some time with you.
Well, thank you for having me on and letting me ramble on, because, like I said, I ramble on way too much. But it's been great to, like, get to know you this year, because I think this was like the year we technically, you know, met and then met in person, and I'm, you know, so thankful to meet you because you're very, very nice, and you're so helpful, and you give such great advice, and you're just a really great friend, and you're very funny.
I appreciate
and
that.
You're funny.
Thank you. I like to think I'm funny. Not everyone else likes to think I'm funny, so if one person can vouch for it, hey, I will take it, damn it. So no, but I mean, I think it also, like, I remember, like, trying to do this in 2017, 2016, not really seeing it for me then, and then having different experiences that would, like, help shape me, and then actually getting to, you know what, let me stop talking about it. Let me actually try to get in it. And I think that's what really, like, kind of flipped the switch for me, because I feel like your Nashville was my Dallas, and just kind of the steps I'm taking where it looks like 2023, I will be making some form of a pro wrestling debut to be announced, but I will make sure that as soon as I have those details finalized, I will be sending them your way on social media, which means, Samira, where can people find you?
Ooh. So you guys can find me at, well, I think the easiest would probably be Linktree, because that gives you everything. So it's like linktr.ee/the It's Samira, and that will have, like, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else, like, links are on there. And from there, like, that's where I will post about bookings. I'm pretty sure all my bookings at the moment, they're always pinned on my page, so you can see where I'm at. So 2023, we already have, like, a lot lined up from literally January to June at the moment. So lots of working with promotions. There's also some that's going to be announced that I cannot say yet. It's really, really exciting. First ever something that I'm doing. So there's a lot going on, so I'm really excited for what 2023 will bring. A lot going on, and I'm very excited for it.
And I will be following. I hope you guys are too. Of course, you can find me on my main socials at Jose on the Air. The recent rebrand. Hopefully, it's not throwing people off. Still on Twitch as Jose Can You See, and then here on YouTube at the Jose Gonzalez. Thank you so much for the support on this podcast for 2022. I did not know where it was going to take me, but I feel so good about the things that are going to be coming up in 2023. I'm going to have a little bit of a holiday break, but I will be seeing you all in the new year. Take care and happy holidays, everybody.